Chapter 7.
"Oh, Theo, don't be ridiculous," Draco said with an exasperated sigh. "I wasn't serious about the first part. There's nothing remotely intriguing about you or any of them as far as my interests are concerned. I've already set my sights elsewhere. So your spotless pureblood honor remains intact. What I am serious about is the second part. I'm indeed gay." As they stepped off the carriage, Draco's gaze pierced through them like a blade, keeping them firmly in place. "I'm saying this directly to you all. If this news reaches my father, it'll be through one of your families, but I won't bother finding out who. I suggest you all start acting more like true Slytherins, with some discretion." Following this declaration, the general attention Draco received was more inquisitive than anything else, especially from Blaise, whose unwavering confidence seemed unaffected by all recent calamities. "So, who's taken your fancy, Draco?" It felt reminiscent of their former camaraderie for Blaise to question him so. Draco kept his annoyance in check throughout their entrance into the Great Hall, the sorting ceremony seeming far less thrilling than the previous year. His gaze lingered on the Slytherin table, save for when his eyes were drawn to Lovegood, whose striking hair always left him slightly on edge. When Blaise pressed again over their meal about Draco's crush, regret nestled within him. Having let slip such information, if he didn't steer suspicions elsewhere, Blaise could very well guess it to be Harry Potter. "You sure you want to know? Sometimes knowledge is more burden than benefit, not worth the peril of possessing it," he advised. Both Pansy and Millie appeared to have been briefed about his confession, prompting Draco to wield his smirk-inducing hand gesture as he addressed them. "Spill it. Who's caught your eye?" Pansy insisted, her features marred by frustration. Draco cast his eyes around, landing on a familiar figure he'd observed before for entirely different reasons than his peers assumed. "Cedric Diggory," he announced casually. "A Hufflepuff?" Theo exclaimed in disbelief, his hand reflexively covering his mouth. Draco chuckled. "It's immature to place undue importance on house divisions," he dismissed. Theo whispered something about Draco's lengthy sorting process to Vince, but Draco ignored it. "Cedric's an amazing seeker and immensely attractive, unlike certain others I could mention." "So seekers are your type," Blaise observed slyly, his scrutiny almost prompting Draco to hex him. Moments later, Hermione approached with a confidence that defied expectation at the Slytherin table. "Draco," she called, unbothered by the stares. "About our train conversation? I have a book you might want to see. Care to join me?" In a reality where such behavior from a Muggle-born would be unremarkably accepted at the Slytherin table, Draco might have been astonished by their silence. But after last year's events, whispers barely emerged. "Lead the way, Hermione," he said loudly, taking her arm to showcase his indifference to their scrutiny. A familiar scene unfolded as they headed towards the Gryffindor common room, reminiscent of Hermione sharing a secret about Nicholas Flamel before refusing him entry into the girls' dormitory, as if being publicly out meant he was beyond ordinary boundaries. Draco claimed an inconspicuous seat near the hearth, legs tucked under him, aiming to fade into the background. Hermione's reassurances had done little to assuage the glaring discomfort of the Gryffindors, despite his alliance with their house hero last year and Slytherin's consequent victory. Warmth from his former inter-house cooperation was notably absent. "Why so on edge?" Draco huffed as Hermione left. "I did earn all those points." "For Slytherin," Hermione countered, "and many suspect you tricked your way to them." This truth rendered Draco mute, drawing less attention until he noticed someone else practicing similar isolation, the youngest Weasley, seeking refuge in a chair, possibly avoiding her brothers. She wore an exhausted, naive expression as she pulled out a diary. At that instant, Draco felt disconnected from his own form as all focus zeroed in on the seemingly innocuous leather-bound diary. Recognition hit him like a curse. Potter had it earlier this year, with Weasley's involvement unknown but remembered enough to be significant. But what completed the unsettling puzzle was seeing it there, nestled in that cabinet from the manor, next to where he'd discovered his wand. In the hidden chamber where only elves, and not even Draco, were permitted entrance, lay a collection of precious stones, a katana, an ominously enchanted wand, and a mysterious journal of unknown value and contents. This was the kind of place so secretive that slipping its contents to a Weasley on her Hogwarts-bound journey was a task undertaken with utmost stealth. Draco wasn't certain about the method, but he was well aware of the consequence should things go awry. His mind wandered aimlessly until his gaze landed on Hermione, bustling down the staircase with eagerness, weighed down by a hefty tome. From afar, he couldn't make out its entire title, but something about house elves caught his eye. "Draco, over here." Hermione's voice rang out, and she bounded towards him, while Draco rose swiftly, maneuvered past Ginny, and snatched the diary from her grasp.
"Hey!"
Ginny objected, attracting the attention of her brothers and, uneasily for Draco, Harry. Draco hadn't noticed Harry there with them. "What do you think you're doing?" "This diary," Draco declared, "is dangerous. I'm removing it to keep you safe." He darted towards the common room exit, slipping through the fat lady's portrait unscathed. For a moment, he hoped the Gryffindors would have understood and let him be, but that wasn't realistic. He hadn't chosen this path willingly nor thought out any plan. "Draco." Hermione's voice was the first he heard as he darted down the staircase leading towards the dungeons, but Harry's shove was the first thing he felt, pressing him against the stone wall of the landing. Yet, Draco retained a firm grip on the old leather volume. "Draco, what are you doing?" "Let me through," Draco demanded as he whipped out his wand before Harry could act. Harry stepped back, hands raised, keeping close as Draco began descending the next set of stairs. "Think you can just take our sister's things, Malfoy?" demanded one of the twins, the voice alarmingly close. "I'm trying to keep her safe, fools, from this," Draco snapped, waving the diary for emphasis. "Ginny said you claimed it was evil," Hermione said with caution, catching up, winded. "Explain, Draco. Where are you taking it?" Driven by panic, Draco slipped his usual guard. "I'm bringing it to Severus. He'll know what's best." "To whom?" asked Hermione, perplexed, then corrected herself. "You mean Professor Snape?" "Severus will handle it. Just back off. I'll take it from here," Draco retorted, and when Ron held up a hand to his brothers, Draco dared to hope they'd come to their senses, but Ron was just dispatching them. "Can you guys check on Ginny? We got this." "We know, Draco," Ron instructed, and the twins left, prioritizing their sister over any urge to thrash Draco. Such concern, as if Draco had done anything but secure a perilous object away from her, risking himself in the process. "Whatever it is, Draco," Harry interjected, blocking his route at the base of the stairs, "we won't take it to Snape. If it's really harmful, it needs to go to Professor Dumbledore." Draco would rather have gone to Severus, for the honesty and trust they shared. His history with Dumbledore was complex, and the headmaster's well-known bias towards Gryffindors was no secret. But Dumbledore had been strangely kind to Draco before, rewarding him for surprising acts of courage. Perhaps he could count on Dumbledore to listen. Harry wasn't budging anyway. Thankfully, Dumbledore was in his office when the four arrived, though McGonagall was there too, her attention diverted from the schedules on Dumbledore's desk by Harry's insistent knocking. Dumbledore opened the door to four out of breath, tense second years, two gripping their wands still. But the sight of the professors prompted Draco to swiftly pocket his wand, and Harry followed suit. "Headmaster," Draco began, drawing from a year's practice of staying calm even out of breath, "we apologize for disturbing you so late and for being out past curfew. Might we request Professor Snape join us?" "What could be so serious?" McGonagall huffed, shortly softening as she noticed her Gryffindors. "Mr. Potter, what is going on?" "We need you to see this, Headmaster. Professor McGonagall, please," Draco urged, "but we really do need Professor Snape," and despite Ron's disapproval, Dumbledore nodded solemnly. He moved back into his office, touching a magnificent red bird Draco hadn't noticed before, the famous phoenix, embodying Gryffindor colors of red interspersed with gold. It flew off with a whisper from its master, likely to summon Severus, while McGonagall directed them all to approach the headmaster's desk. "Now, Draco," Dumbledore said, settling into his chair behind the desk. "What is it you deem so critical for our attention?" Draco placed the diary before him, unease creeping in as he released his hold, knowing the potential locked within. Wishing he'd approached this less impulsively with a plan. "A diary," Dumbledore said with a crease on his brow, turning to the cover with increasing curiosity at its date. "Empty, except..." He leafed through the pages, looking down through his glasses, and stopped at the very first entry. Though he stayed silent, something in the room's atmosphere altered instantly. Faced with McGonagall, Draco skillfully deciphered the name T.M. Riddle, displayed in reverse. The transformation in McGonagall's demeanor was palpable. Where an annoying curiosity once resided, a grave solemnity now took its place.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this chapter, please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell to stay updated with more audiobooks. Happy listening!